Mr. Eggplant presents.
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. And I have another Mythic Plus dungeon run from the pre-patch for you guys, and this is going to be from the current week. So this is a plus 14 Ruby life pools, and the affixes are Tyrannical, Afflicted, and Bolstering. And this is going to be in a complete run, and then also I'm going to look at my overall damage and kind of do a little bit of a breakdown at the very end, so I hope you guys will stick around and check that out. There will be timestamps down in the description of the video. So I did know we were going to do a giant pull here, and I'm not using light ammo, so this is just going to be being able to cleave off of a total of 5 targets. And basically what I'm doing is I just let the tank group them all up, and then I just went to town. I dropped my explosive shot, then volley, then true shot. I'm going to make sure and disengage here, that way I don't take that damage. And then we are just melting things. So since it's the Afflicted week, I can't do anything about that. It really stinks, but at least Afflicted is going away. But with Bolstering, I can help out with that by, just killing everything evenly. So here we're going to get ready to go around the corner here, and I'm standing back here thinking that maybe I could bait the circle on the ground. Well, Tyler, the big rock guy is the one who drops the circle. So we're not going to pull him, so we're going to hang out here for just a second. But, A for effort, right? Or I guess it's E for effort. Either way, I'm a hunter. I can't really spell. So basically, I'm just going to be throwing my cooldowns and using all of my true shot as much as possible until we get up to the boss. I've said in all of my videos so far here in the pre-patch, I come in with goals each and every time I jump into one of these keys. And I have a final build that I'll be using the rest of the week, which is going to be using In the Rhythm, Bullet Storm, and Killzone. I will not be using light ammo because I've seen some really great damage, and it's just kind of hard to move those points around. I did want to make sure I had In the Rhythm just because it's really smooth, particularly in single target on boss fights. It's crazy how that little bit of haste will make all the difference in the world. And one of my other goals I had mentioned in previous videos was the fact that I was just sending true shot. Well, I have been doing that for the last 3 weeks, and I have finally reined it in just a little bit. So you'll see right now I'm not using my true shot. I probably could have got a true shot off here and had it about, maybe a minute left by the time we pulled the boss. But I knew we didn't need to waste the damage here on the Defier, and then I knew I needed it up for ads on the boss, because since it is Tyrannical, we do need to get the boss to 75% health before she'll send out the first awakened whelps. And then basically what I want to do is I want to misdirect those whelps to the tank. That make their life so much easier, and of course mine, because I don't die that way. But we are getting ready to pull the boss here. I have all of my cooldowns, and I'm just going to send everything here, make sure I got Hunter's Mark on the target. I'm sending everything except for my explosive shot, volley, and true shot. I wasn't quite sure on how much damage we were going to be putting out here, so I have my Chill Storm. It's a good opportunity to run out of the group using your disengage, and then also I'm just going to use my turtle and then just hold on to it until the damage officially goes out, and then go back to fighting the boss. So we try to cluster all the hail bombs up so we can get those cleared out. Fubar did a really nice job of clearing those out. Here comes the awakened whelps, and here comes my misdirect, and I'm going to get ready to send everything. So there's the explosive shot, then I'm going to do volley, use my potion, and then lead with a rapid fire, and then just cleave off of Melidrussa. Unfortunately, we did lose our paladin here. I think that was actually the only death in the entire dungeon. So we do take a little bit longer than normal on this fight, but honestly, I thought everybody did an amazing job, and that was one of the main reasons I wanted to share this video. This was just a very clean run for a dungeon you guys don't see me post very often. I guess even though I did post a Ruby live pools not long ago. So whenever this is one of those bosses that kind of scares me, just because there's a ton of just burst damage that I normally don't have a ton of defensives for. So I did get the first Chill Storm, so I got kind of lucky there. I just get that turtle on cooldown. I am going to go ahead and use one of my charges of Survival of the Fittest here. Don't know how much that's going to do. Does a lot of damage. So here comes the next set of awakened whelps. Here comes the misdirect, and then I'm just going to send them over to the tank. Get right on Melidrussa, have my volley out there, and then I'm just going to cleave off of Melidrussa so we can get through that shield, and then eventually interrupt her. So we are at 38% or so, I guess still 39, and we are just going to cleave down the rest of the whelps, and there's not going to be another whelp phase. So here comes the next big circle there on the ground, the chill storm. So I used my my cheetah. I wish I would have got out a little bit farther there, and I did use my other defensive. So if you're looking at my defensives right now, I have nothing other than my my exhilaration. So I do want to be very careful, and you know, if I get an unfortunate chill storm, I may end up dying there without some sort of external. But Karm ended up getting it there, so here comes another chill storm. I have my exhilaration, had some pocket heals on the side there, which I always appreciate. We got Melidrussa down to 13%. Here comes some hail bombs, and we are pretty much done with this encounter. So like I said, this did go a little bit long, but we had some tremendous damage, the entire group. So there's the chill storm. I have my turtle up, so I got really lucky there. I'm going to hold the turtle, so you can see that weak core is telling me how long I have left. Then I'll reactivate it, and then let's go ahead and finish Melidrussa off. Alright, and so speaking of this entire run, I did 703k DPS overall. My item level is 529, and then the special talents, like I said, that I was testing and I'm going to make final in my build, is going to be In the Rhythm, Bullet Storm, and Kill Zone. And I am using 2 blue silk linings for my embellishments, and my uptime on that was right at 55%. But we will go and take a look at that at the last section of this video, so I hope you guys will stick around for that. And this was officially the, I guess the, is it 11.0.2 as of today, because this was Tuesday. So not all of my add-ons were working. My weak auras are kind of busted, so not all of those were working. Like, for example, my focus bar there in the middle, which is a weak aura. It doesn't show how much focus I have, so it took me a few pulls to get used to it. But just looking at my cooldowns, I have everything, and I fear Thunderhead. I fear Flame Gullet as well. So I'm just going to send everything here. And something that I had been kind of forgetting, honestly, because I got too wrapped up in having to deal with it for the tier set whenever we get to Season 1 of The War Within. But the changes to Eagle Talon's True Focus. So you're actually getting a ton of value for using your random multi-shots during, particularly if they're high bullet storm stacks. You're getting a ton of value from just casting one of them. So I saw my damage go up pretty tremendously because of that. Like I said, I forgot that it would basically cast that second one at 30% effectiveness. But still, I mean, it's significantly cheaper to use during True Shot, and then also those precise shot procs they're just cheaper to spend. I think it costs 15 focus, and when you have your Bullet Storm completely pumped up, it does a ton of damage. I think it did like 10% or so of my total damage in this key, which is not a small amount. So there, if I get the circle on from the ads, you want to make sure and run that over all of the other ads so it knocks them up. And then I am using my knock-up, although not to great effectiveness. I could have done it a lot more in this run. That is in my build, and I will put my entire build string down in the description of the video if you guys would like to check that out. So we're just going to continue to move around the circle here as we get over to Blazehoof. I'm literally just sending everything. So like I said, the best way to increase your damage is to just send True Shot. Get in the habit of sending it and getting it on cooldown and whittling the cooldown down. Or back, I guess. You'll have more True Shots out. That way, you'll have more True Shots out for an entire dungeon, and you'll find out really quickly when you can and cannot use a True Shot, and that will be huge and pay off so much. I promise you, in the War Within, whether it's Season 1 or Season 4 or whatever, you will get a ton of value out of that, because you'll be very comfortable with how much focus you can spend in an allotted amount of time. And the first season will be kind of rough in the War Within, but once you get in the habit and you know what all the dungeons and the cadence and that sort of thing, you'll have no problem getting like 2 or 3 more full True Shots out during a Mythic Plus dungeon. So here we have 35 seconds left on my true shot. I am whittling the cooldown of that. We are going to kind of have to hang out and wait because the flame gullet is landing over there just off of the screen. And then whenever we're pulling all this trash, I'm just cleaving off of the destroyer. And whenever the big AoE comes out that puts the dot on everybody, if you use a defensive before that, if you use turtle, you negate it entirely. But if you use your survival of the fittest, for example, you will take significantly less damage from that dot. And that's something that can definitely help you on the boss, but also help you on trash. So here's Flame Gullets just kind of hanging out. So this is where, you know, we're telling everybody about what all we were doing and what we're all gonna main in the war within, because I know most of the people in this group probably won't be maining what they're playing currently. In fact, this is the first time I've done anything with a prot warrior, I think, in like 3 seasons since Barry played one. So that's pretty crazy, and it was pretty cool to get back in there with some classes we don't see too often. But I do know I'm looking at my cooldowns all up, so I want to make sure and use those here. Here comes that Inferno, so that's where I could use the defensive if I wanted to lower that dot. I felt like I was pretty safe, though. We had a big pull here. I don't know if it was on purpose or not. Either way, we mowed them down real quick. We had a bunch of pulls that were well over 2 million DPS, or at least bursted well over 2 million DPS. So now the boss is active, which means I'm looking at my cooldowns, and right now I'm thinking, oh crap, I don't have my true shot up. I want to have true shot up. So I'm just spending focus right now. Just spend it, spend it, spend it. That way I'm just whittling the cooldown even more thanks to calling the shots. So here comes Blazehoof. So we're going to try to bait this first one. So the very first thing is going to be the add. So I'm going to make sure and not get hit. And then it's going to go meatball, meatball, add. And then it'll be meatball, meatball, add. And then so on and so forth. So here comes the Inferno. So I'm going to use my defensive so I'm not taking nearly as much damage from that dot that goes out. And I'm just going to cleave off of the Firestorm. This first Firestorm kind of dies slowly. But True Shot is coming up here very, very soon. I've got about 5 seconds left. Got to dodge the boulder there. Be careful if you're near any of the little like edging because it can explode early and kill you. So don't be like me. So here comes the blaze again, the Firestorm, and then I'm looking at my cooldowns. I have my volley up here in just a second. Didn't have to worry about that. The boulder, I did use turtle there. That way I didn't have to worry about taking the dot at all. It helped out my healer tremendously there. We bursted right through that. I had cleave, and then I'm just going to try to extend my volley as long as possible here. So there we go. We had a boulder that went that way. Be careful with the tree because it can bust early again, and then you're dead. Like particularly on a 14 or higher, you just start to die after a while. So here I'm not in the best spot, so I actually think it's going to pick me. Yep. So I should have been closer to the boss. That's my bad. I got the dot from the add, and I'm just going to use Exhilaration to heal just a little bit. And we want to make sure and interrupt the Firestorm as well, which I did there. I'm very close to taking some damage here from this Firestorm, but a clutch totem there definitely saved my butt from our Shaman healer, which I always appreciate. And we're looking at the boss's health, and this boss is very chaotic, but it's also very easy because it has the exact same cadence. You just need to not make the mistake, basically. So here, I want to be very careful that it doesn't hit this tree, because see, it's going to hit right away there. You don't have as much time as you think you will. And then I'm just going to continue to cleave off the Firestorm, make sure we interrupt that. There goes a totem to help us stay alive just a little bit longer there. And we're at 25% on the boss, and here comes my next true shot. So there's a boulder, or the meatball we just have to avoid there. We're going to have one more ad that's going to come out here, but we're basically just going to tunnel boss, interrupt the ad as we see fit, and finish this boss off and move on to the final stretch of the dungeon. This is a very, very fast dungeon. So there's the meatball, there's the dot on us, and then we kept the ad interrupted, and that is that. So 362k, that's some pretty solid damage. In fact, over the last couple of days, whenever I did stuff this last weekend, I felt like my damage was lacking in some phases, and that just came down to using True Shot correctly. So there will be points where I just send it constantly, but there will also be points where I'm not entirely sure, so I held it, and that definitely helped. I have a bunch of keys. I think we did 5 keys on Tuesday night already. We made some really great progress. So here I'm just going to put my hunter's mark on the channeler. I'm just going to cleave off the channeler. Luckily for us, we just have a ton of really good AoE damage in our group, so things died pretty quickly on a non-fortified week, which definitely helped. You just want to try to get those interrupts or knockups if possible. I didn't there, but we really didn't have much issues. We were just zooming through this key. So we've got, I'm just thinking now, I've got a couple of pulls left. We probably have one pull here, which is going to be this pull here, and then the stuff just underneath the nameplates there of the channeler on the screen. And then we're going to have one more big pull that's going to be right in front of the boss, which spawns the boss. So I know that I can freely use a true shot here because we're going to have a bunch of AoE damage that's going to go out. And then something else I wanted to mention too. If we have significant AoE packs in front of us, we don't have to always use True Shot to do some really great damage. Like right now, I don't have True Shot up, and I'm still bursting for, like 1. I think I saw like 1.8, 1.9 million, and I'm not using True Shot. Now, True Shot makes it better, and Volley definitely helped there with those extra salvo explosive shots, but you still do really good damage, and that was something that I was overusing True Shot in some places when I knew I shouldn't. So whenever I say send it, send it, send it, you will learn over the course of a tier when you can and cannot use it in certain spots in some of these dungeons. So this high channeler is very scary, even on a Tyrannical week. Does a ton of damage, and if you don't get through that shield, well, you're probably going to wipe. But you want to try to interrupt those shock blasts as much as possible. Luckily for us, they did pick the tank often, and then you want to kill all these adds as quickly as you can. That way the boss doesn't get too big of a shield. And then after we kill the boss, so I'm looking, right now, I don't want to send True Shot because I want to have it up to the boss, and I know that we are going to be lusting because we are not on cooldown now, or we're not sated. So we have 2 pulls to either side, and I'm just basically just doing the normal rotation, and then we're going to kill all these little thunderclouds, and then we're going to jump on the boss. So here I'm just sending whatever. I know if it's okay for me to send my rapid fire there because I'm going to have one up thanks to True Shot. We're going to pull the other half of this stuff here. What the heck? Let's go ahead and get some pad damage there. This stuff does have to die after all, right? So here comes the boss, and then we're trying to figure out where we're going to lust here, and then I'm going to jump on the dragon. So here comes the volley, True Shot, rapid fire. I'm going to get this good cleave damage. Unfortunately, I actually don't think they were cleaving. It was just off to the side, which feels bad, but it is what it is. Whenever the Drake is not down here, I'm just going to continue to keep my rapid fire up, or my volley up, excuse me, on the shaman, and then I'm going to jump back to the dragon. And so my groups have always stood back over here in between the 2 statues, so you can kind of control where the breath goes. If you notice, the boss is at 53%. The boss phases at 50%, so we're going to try to get an extra rotation here by not pushing the Drake too early, which we ended up getting. So here we go. So I'm just going to do a little bit extra damage on the Drake, and then the final part of this encounter starts now. This is the part that I'm scared of because the flame spit really freaking hurts. And in fact, I'm going to get it here in just a second. So I'm going to use my volley, I'm going to use my rapid fire, and this chunks. It almost kills me. It's so strong. So I made sure and used basically all my defensives out other than my turtle, which turtle will come in handy here in just a second. But we have another flame spit comes out. I put my turtle up, and it blocks it entirely, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then now we're at 38% left on the boss, and we are almost done. So I have my True Shot that just came up. I had some really good cooldown usage overall. I think that was the key to my success here. I want to avoid the flame there on the ground, but the boss is almost done. We're doing a very solid 460k for this boss fight, even without some really good cleave. I missed a lot of opportunities there, a lot of stuff left on the table, but I did 703k overall, had some really great damage in this group, and we were very close to a 3 chest, if I remember right. So let's go ahead and jump back in the game now. Hello. So we are going to go ahead and check out the damage we did. So currently my Mythic Plus rating is 3219, but this was the damage breakdown for that 14 Ruby life pools. So just looking at the damage overall, Rapid Fire is still king, doing some really great damage with that. It's been my #1 by far, and you're going to see my explosive shot usage was much better. It was much higher than normal. It was normally sets around like 8 or 9%, where here is at 13%, so that means I was hitting more targets with explosive shot, which is very important. And then also volley and multi-shots damage was significantly higher, as well as my Augury. My Augury actually did 4.5% of my total damage. I'm just using it because it's complete stat stick and passive. And then looking at my auras here, so this can tell you what like Broodkeeper's Barrier heals me for. I had it up for 12% of the dungeon. There's a lot of damage that goes out, and that's just only going to help our healers and help me stay alive. And then looking at In the Rhythm, for example, I had an extra 8% haste for 52% of the dungeon. That's pretty good. As well as my Blue Silk Lining, like I said earlier, 55% of the dungeon I was at 90% health or higher. As you get higher up in these keys, it's harder and harder to do, particularly in dungeons in dungeons that have a lot of AoE damage. Like last week was bursting, so it's hard to keep your health above 90%. And the same goes for some dungeons like Ruby Life Pools that has a lot of AoE. But like if you look at the DPS on a lot of these players we were playing with, like high item levels, like people were putting in work, and this build was definitely putting out all of the damage without even having, you know, a PI or an AUG in my group. But overall, 703k DPS, had some really good damage overall in the key. And then this was the build that I used. Like I said, I didn't have light ammo, so all of that was without light ammo and getting the most out of Bulletstorm. So if anything, this last week has shown me that I can still get value from Eagle Talon's True Focus and the Bulletstorm combination by using those when I have a little bit of downtime. Instead of waiting whenever I'm in a true shot, I was normally just waiting to cast the Rapid Fire or the Aimed if they were both off or on cooldown. But now I'm going to start sending those multi-shots and see where my damage goes. So thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Be sure and follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Eggplant. I'll see you next time.